Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation. Today I will be presenting about building a high-performance network for the future of work. Let's dive further into it. Our subtitle is Supporting Video Conferencing, Remote Employees, and Secure Collaboration. Basically, part of our new uh, enterprise would involve adding these features to our overall network infrastructure and architecture. So here's a recap of what we've done so far during the course of this course. Over the past few weeks, we have developed a scalable network that is robust, of course, over security, and also contains firewalls to protect us from any outside attack. We've also improved the network to accommodate a growing mobile workforce. We've also ensured that our network also accommodates our ever-increasing BYD workforce as well. So this week we're going to focus on expanding on a high performance law for the future of work, which will incorporate some things like video conferencing and others as mentioned previously. This here is a good schematic of our simplified high performance network. Again, that has connections that are internet connections that are redundant. Of course, we also want to include perimeter security such as firewalls, DMZs, VLANs, core switches, distribution/access switches, VPN gateway, and of course dedicated segments for video conferences and storage area network, SAN. So this kind of will be basically dissected in the coming slides to kind of dive deeper into our strategy towards this simplified schematic. So part of our internet connectivity and bandwidth strategy, we want to include and basically focus in on productivity and efficiency, and of course, collaboration and communication. These two domains are very important because we want our workforce to have high-speed internet connectivity that also includes and affords them to be able to be highly productive, but also we want to also ensure that we are not overly being inefficient in our utilization of said connection. We also want to make sure that it is very, very easy to collaborate with outsiders as well as within the workforce itself. Internet connectivity and bandwidth continuous. We also wanted to ensure that user experience and satisfaction is a top priority as part of this goal. We also want to ensure that our traffic volume and bandwidth requirements are met to ensure that they are in basically compliance with current standards for traffic volume and bandwidth, and most importantly, our basically to the satisfaction of our workforce in general. Furthermore, we want to make sure that this our internet connectivity does have redundancy for reliability. We want to have perhaps in certain cases dual connections or internet providers that allowed us for basically ensuring that in case we have any sort of like a shortage in service or some sort of a trouble with one service, we're able to basically use another that's available readily for our own utilization. So the next things we're going to dive into is network devices and security. Part of the devices that we're going to ensure that we have readily available for our network include firewall, which will basically help in filtering inbound and outbound traffic based on security policies that we will put in place. We will also have IDS and IPS detecting and preventing malicious network activity. We will have switches that enables us to connect to devices within the network segments, and of course routers and VPN gateways, all with routers directing traffic between network segments and the internet and the VPN gateway, providing secure encrypted tunnels for remote access. So some of the roles that we envision our VPNs basically in securing our remote employee access includes data encryption, secure tunneling, and of course authentication of all users in and out of our workforce. So some of the different VPN protocols and their strengths and weaknesses that we will discuss here. So for instance, the IP SEC, Internet Protocol Security, will be one of such. The strength, again, widely used and supported across various platforms, provide a high level of security, of course, through strong encryption and authentication mechanisms. However, as a weakness may require additional configuration and can be complex for some, can also be challenging to implement in networks configuration as well. Another one is the OpenVPN. Again, the strength include the fact that it's open source and transparent, allowing for community scrutiny. And of course, it also supports various encryption algorithms and is highly configurable. Weaknesses, however, it may not be as standardized as some proprietary protocols and may have slightly higher overhead compared to other protocols. The other type of VPN protocols that we will also use is the L2TP or IPsec layer 2 tunneling protocol with Internet Protocol Security. Basically, in this case, the strengths are widely supported on various platforms and, of course, offers a stronger security through the IPsec encryption. Weaknesses, some consider it less secure than newer protocols due to potential vulnerabilities. Okay, some of the importance of strong authentication and encryption for VPNs include the fact that it's, of course, authentication is an important part, and these strong authentication mechanisms do allow us to ensure that only authorized users are having access to our resources. Encryption also provides that as well. And we also wanted to ensure that our storage and video bandwidth capacity planning is up to standard and par with our current workforce demand. Of course, we will make sure that because this video recordings typically require a large amount of storage space, that we have allocated enough space and segments in our network for such. And as well as shared documents and data, we will ensure that the collaboration is included in our platform seamlessly with no issues, but also that all shared resources are also protected from outside influence and potential hacking. So appropriate storage solutions that we can take, of course, we can have a storage area network that's suitable for high performance applications such as video editing and real-time data access. We also want to offer centralized block level storage, making it ideal for scenarios where performance and low latency are critical. We also wanted to provide a network attached storage, well suited again for file level storage and collaboration, which will make it suitable for shared documents. Part of our network bandwidth allocation for video conferencing would be to allocate sufficient bandwidth to basically accommodate real-time nature of video conferencing traffic. We also ensure that any sort of inadequate bandwidths that result in congestion, packet loss, and degraded video quality are basically dealt with. We also want to ensure that our quality of service, we want to implement the quality of service mechanisms in the network to prioritize video conferencing traffic over the non-real-time applications. This will afford us to ensure a seamless video conferencing traffic with little or no issues whatsoever. Some of the resources or other things that we can do for storage capacity planning and bandwidth recommendations, of course, we will want to ensure that our storage capacity planning is it's in compliance and of course it's up to standard with current storage capacity planning guide by NetApp, or basically you can find that through the link NetApp storage capacity planning. Another thing to basically consider is our network bandwidth recommendations for real-time application. For reference, these can be found in bandwidth recommendations for video conferencing by Lifesize. Then the link can be found there as well as the one from Microsoft Teams. Of course, all of these guides will help us come up with the most optimal resource planning and storage capacity planning for our organization. Some of the infrastructure that we will create will ensure that we have dedicated network segments for video conferencing infrastructure, and of course our quality of service mechanisms will prioritize video conferencing traffic, ensuring low latency, minimal jitter, and consistent user experience. Part of again our video conferencing servers, we will make sure that they are basically prepared for scalability and control. We will improve our scalability by deploying dedicated video conferencing servers, enhancing scalability, allowing organizations to handle a larger number of simultaneous connections. We will also have centralized management. Again, the centralized servers will provide better control over configurations, updates, and of course, security policies. We will also ensure that we evaluate our video conferencing platforms for security features, compatibility, and user experience. All of these evaluations will be aimed at improving the overall video conferencing experience. We will also ensure that connectivity and security for all our external guests that are basically connected to our network. We will create a secure guest portal and of course a captive portal. A guest portal in this is basically a web interface that allows guests to log in and access the network. It should be easy and of course to use and navigate. We will also display acceptable use policies and terms of service on the portal for guests to acknowledge before accessing the network. Our captive portal is a mechanism that intercepts attempts to access the network and redirects us to the guest portal for authentication. This will implement when we implement the captive portal solutions to control access and ensure guests authenticate themselves before gaining access to our resources. We will also restrict our guest access to specific resources and applications. This can be achieved using firewall rules that ensure that only certain resources are available to specific users based on authentication types. There will also be that network segmentation that only uses VLANs to segment the guest network further, and of course control traffic flow between the guest network and the internal network. All of this will ensure that only certain users with certain authority access certain resources. We will ensure that we monitor our network and of course troubleshoot it in real time. To do this, we will deploy network props and monitoring tools such as network props and monitoring tools. In this case, we will deploy network props strategically at key points in the network to capture and analyze traffic. We will also analyze the props to collect data on bandwidth utilization, latency, packet loss, and other performance metrics. We will also include in our monitoring tools. We implement network monitoring that provide real-time insights into the health and performance of the network. We'll also choose tools that offer simple network management protocol, flow analysis, and historical data reporting. Part of our strategy for utilizing real-time traffic analysis and alert. We will use real-time analysis to leverage basically real-time analysis for monitoring our network and alert activities continuously. We will ensure that any sort of disruption in the flow of resources or collaborative resources and sharing that is alerted right away so that it can be dealt with in real time. We're going to also implement login and reporting systems so that basically everything that is done can be documented and captured so that it makes it easier for us to troubleshoot and of course determine where issues are and rectify them in due time. So some of the best practices for network monitoring incident response, we will use the NIST SP 800-53. Part of the NIST SP 800-53, and for those of you that are not familiar, the NIST stands for the National Institute of Standards and Technology, Special Publication 800-53. In this, best practices include continuous monitoring and incidents response. So ensuring that we're continuously monitoring our network for health and performance, and of course, making sure that we have good incidents response and handling. So scalability and future considerations will ensure that our network is designed and developed to be scalable and of course ready for any future expansion and development. Part of our scalability and future-proof networks design and architectural strategies include modular and scalable equipment inclusion in the network, the utilization of scalable software solutions, cloud-based services, software-defined networking that basically ensure that all of our tools and services can easily be expanded and are collaborative. With this in mind, all of we've talked about, we've highlighted some of the key things in our planning to include and prepare ourselves for a future of work. Thus, in conclusion, we have presented a high-performance network design that takes into account all of the potential issues and problems with bandwidth, security, video conferencing, resource sharing, authentication, and future expansion. As part of this, we've included internet connection with redundancy options such as dual providers. We've also included secure perimeter with firewall and intrusion detection and prevention systems. We've also included demilitarized zones for web servers and external access, internet network segmented into VLANs for departments and critical functions, core switches providing high bandwidth backbone distribution and access switches connecting devices and users, VPN gateway for secure remote employee access, dedicated network segments for video conferencing infrastructure, and storage area network for centralized data storage. Let us know if you have any questions regarding this ambitious plan. Thank you. Here are my references. Please visit these resources for further understanding of basically developing a high performance network for the future of work. Once again, thank you for listening.